Hello everyone, I'm going to be going over how to make a random image generator. So I did already prep this a little bit, so if I press play, we have three buttons. I need the cursor back, and I click on any of the buttons, we get this. I click here, it says hello. That's all that'll happen. Same thing here and here. Now I do kind of need to go over that because there's already something in that that matters a lot. So step one is to have an image perfectly overlay the button. That's not really complicated. You can figure out to do that. I'm using 800 by 800 for the size. Position, for some reason, is different when I click between these. It's slight, but it is. And it's based on where the anchor point is. I think it's the anchor point that's slightly off and impacts X and Y. Which is weird because I would imagine that X and Y should just behave independent of this, but it's not. So even though it says it's different, in actuality it's not. So that's a little bit of an odd mechanic, but that's normal. So the only thing I need to say that's really important here is for you to be able to click on the button through the image, you have to have this setting right here, not hit testable. You have to have this. And then that way you can, click on the image through the button. But, we need to actually make it so that the button does stuff. In this case, we're just going to make that click here texture change to, one of these. So for now, we're just going to focus on A. We'll focus on these two buttons in a different method. I'm going to try to separate this out into all the different methods I know how to do. The only method I'm not including is, using an array, and it's because I couldn't find an instance where you would prefer to use that. So that's the only method I'm not going to discuss. Method number one, very simple. We're going to use a switch on integer node. So I'm going to just move the on clicked for button and just move it over here and then delete this. I'm going to have to delete that on the other ones. It's just the thing that says hello. So we are going to get a switch on int node. And we are also going to get a random integer in range node. And we're going to connect this to this. We're going to select add a pin. This doesn't really matter. How many of these do I have? I have 5. Okay. So this is going to be 0 to 4. I know there's 5 images, but we're including 0 into the number. Then I have to click add a pin. There we go. Now let's drag from 0, and we want set brush. That would be incorrect. Set brush from texture. And I need to hover over these. We want the one that says texture or target as image. We want that. And we want to grab. It is also important to make it so that your image is a variable. Because now we're just going to grab the image that we're changing. And that's going to be the target. And then the texture is, for sure, it's going to be this. And then I'm just going to copy this, paste it, make this A2, make this A3. I'll even go as far as to go for A4 and A5 because at this point I really don't care. A4 and A5, why not? But you can kind of see the problem I have with this method already, which is the more you add to this, the more annoying it will get. There you go, to have to scroll. So I'm going to say that this method, it really caps out at 10 images because you cannot do this for like, 1,000 images. You can't, with like a wide data set, use this method because it'll just get too annoying. But if I go to this and I press play and I go here, there we go. Now every click we get a different image. So this works. It's great. This is great if you're working with like not a lot of images that you want to randomly generate. You want to make a heads or tails random generator. You want to have a dice random generator. This is, the perfect use case for it. So that would be it for method number 1. And that would be the easiest one. Second method is going to be, we're going to use maps. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a new variable. We're going to call this texture function. And texture function is going to be a texture 2D object reference type. And then we're going to select this, and then we're going to select map. And then we need to hit compile. Now, what we can do here is we can select add element. And then from here, we can pick our textures. So I'm going to, oh, wait. I forgot, you cannot add more than one element at a time because you're going to always, when you add an element, have it at 0, and then it can't have 2 at 0 at the same time. Which is a little bit annoying, but it's still, an improvement compared to the Switch On Int node. You can do more with this. So there we have our 0 to 4 tied there. So from on clicked, we're going to search for keys. And then from target map over here, we're going to drag out and we're going to just, actually, wait, no. We're just going to drag this out and we're going to do get, and then we're just going to connect these. Now, we're going to drag from here, the same node we had from last time, the set brush from texture target as image. But we're going to have a lot of stuff in between using this. So here we're going to get a copy. And from here, we're going to get our random integer range. So random integer in range. And then we had it as 0 to 4. It needs to pertain to the numbers we assigned here for the textures. And then we just need to connect that to there, and we need to tell it, hey, make it so the image is changing based off of this. So then if I compile this and we go back and test button A, yep, it works. We are changing button A based off of this method. So that's the first two methods. Method 3 is where things get, significantly more complicated. Method number 3, it's going to be the reason we have these other buttons. It's going to be, well, what if I have two buttons that generate different stuff, and I have a button where I want for both of those things to be able to generate? They're just, different combinations of stuff. And I think the use case for this that I've come across is, oh, I'm making a random character generator, and I want for them to have their own categories, but then, I want like a full random button. That's like an example of a use case for this. Although I can't publish that because I think it would get like copyrighted. But that would be like an example of where you'd use something like this. So we're going to go over here, and we are going to make an enumeration. And in this case, I'm going to be lazy, and I'm just going to call it enum. And in enum, we're going to add an enumerator. We're going to add two enumerators. One's going to be called category A, and the other one's going to be category B. Because these are just different categories, and we're going to refer to this later. Hit save. I'm going to close it. And then we need to make a structure. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to blueprint again, but then I'm going to click structure. I'm just going to call it struct. If you're working in a project where, there's more than just this, absolutely name these better. But I'm not doing anything else here, so I can name these poorly. Yeah, no, I messed this up. So this is going to be texture. And this is going to be... Yeah, I'm looking at the same word twice. That's what messed me up. This is going to be categories. Categories is not going to be this. Categories is going to be enum. It is literally just going to be enum because it needs to go to the enum thing that we made. It'll be whatever you named the file, though. Okay, so now it was like something didn't make sense. That's what it was. We're going to miscellaneous, and then data table. So for pick row structure, we're going to pick struct. That'll be, again, whatever you name the structure. And I'm lazy. We are just going to leave that at data table. Oh, it's going to be new data table. I'm going to call it data table. Okay. So in data table, we're going to add multiple rows. See, it defaults to category A. So then we're going to have A1. And I'm going to do this a few times. So, you know what? I'm just going to use all the textures. Why not? A3, A4, A5. Now, I want this to be category B. In category B, it's going to be B1, B2, B3. All right, we're going to have B4. Notice I have to make sure that it's always category B here. It will default to the first category. And B5. And there we go. We're gonna save, we're gonna close out the data table. Now, I'm gonna start with the easier of the two things, and then make the more complicated one. I don't know why, but you would think that the all button would be more complicated. I don't think it is though. So we are going to, from here, do get data table row names. And from here, we're just going to select data table. And from here, we're going to do get data table row. From here, we're going to do random array item. And then that will connect to there. This is going to be data table as well. And then we're going to ignore row not found. I'm going to treat this like an if thing. So I don't know, if you want to do a row not found thing, you can do like, oh, print text and be like whoops or like error or something. But I already know that this is going to work, so I'm not going to do a row not found line. But this is going to be a little bit complicated. So from row found, we're going to do the same node we were doing before, the set brush from texture, the target as the image. But we're gonna go back to this node out row. From out row, we're gonna get break struct. Again, break struct will depend on the name of the structure. And we're going to drag texture into texture. And then from target, we're going to need the image that we have overlaying the button. In this case, I have it as image all. And then we're just going to connect that. And we should be good to go. We should just be able to tile this. It is a little bit more complicated because, you know, we had to go through steps to get to this point. And then also, I think this is a little bit more complicated code-wise compared to what we had before. But if I test this and I click on all, this should either be A or B. Yep, and we get a bunch of different of the two. So it works. There we go. But, you know, we want to have button A and button B both be able to work. So that's what we're going to do now is, you know, get the individual ones working. From here, we need to actually create a new variable. And it is going to be called texture category. And this I'm going to change to array. And that's fine. But, you know, I'll do the same thing in button B for a second. Because that way I can copy and paste the code and it should work. In theory, it might not, but... For category... Texture to the object reference... and array. There we go. Okay, so now that we have that, we're gonna... The first thing we're gonna grab is clear array. And then you're going to get texture category. We're going to connect these two. Now we're going to get data table row names. We're going to select data table. Then from out row names, we're going to grab a for each loop. Now, okay, yeah, this is where it gets complicated. From loop body, we are going to do get data table row, not row names, just row. We're going to select data table. We're going to drag from array element into row name. Connect those two. We're gonna backtrack to this. We are gonna drag out from completed, but I want to just finish this line first. So from out row, we're gonna get break struct. We have two things going on here. We're gonna go from categories for now. Categories is gonna be equals enum. What? Like maybe it was just equal enum. Yep, it was equal enum, not equals enum. That would be the problem. And this is going to be whatever category you want for the buttons. In this case, category A. I will have to change this for button B when I copy and paste. Okay, now we're going to go from row found, we're going to get a branch. From this return value, we're going to connect it to the condition. And then from true, we're going to get add unique. And then get texture category, connect these two. Now we're going to take texture, and this is going to connect into here. So we do have like a little bit of like an unorthodox structure in here where like stuff kind of loops and it's a little bit difficult to follow. But this is really what we need. And now we're going to go back, because I said we need to go back to completed. And from completed, we're going to get our set brush from texture. We need the one that says target is image. And then we're going to get image A, make that the target. Now for texture, we're going to drag out from here. We're going to get a random array item. And we get texture category. We'll link that up. Compile. And this should work. It is absolutely a mess of code if you look at all of this. But this should work. So we're going to test it. If I hit play, click on A, it works. We get all the A's. And if I go back, click on all, get A, B, A, B. Now, B will still do absolutely nothing because we don't have any of this code in B. So I'm gonna just copy everything. Move this over, delete this, paste it, connect this to this. And the only thing I have to do is change this from category A to category B. Compile. Nope. I need to get image B where I have image A. That would be something else I need to do. Is that the only point where we use that? Yes, it is. Now this should be good to go. Yep. So now if I run this, A, we get A. All. Yep. that works. And then B, yeah, B works. So there you go. That would be, you know, the 3 different methods between using a Switch On Int node, maps, and a data table. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.